George Ciampa. Date of birth, June 16th, 1925. I'm 96, I'll be 97 next month.
Do you remember your first time in Holland?
Yeah. Well, you know, I served right next door to Holland in Belgium, right on the border. I served there, but the first time I came back as a civilian was 50 years later. 50 years later is when I came back to France and Belgium and this whole area here, Holland, Germany. Oh, yeah. Yes, I was a soldier.
Do you have any memory of that long time ago?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've just recently self-published a book called Silent Dog Tags, and it was my Army memoirs. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Silent Dog Tags by George W. Ciampa. You got to do that, otherwise they'll put you in touch with actual dog tags. I'm talking about military dog tags. But the reason it's called Silent Dog Tags is it pertains to death, dead soldiers. Dog tags are silent. You understand?
I understand.
And that's what I did in the war. I was in Graves Registration, which is a unique company, and nobody wanted to be in Graves Registration because you had to handle the dead in harm's way, getting them off the battlefield, getting them buried. The headquarters did the paperwork on where they were killed and how, etc. And we had to handle the personal effects. They were all sent home to the next of kin through an agency in Kansas City. But I was 118 pounds when I landed on D-Day, 18 years old. D-Day represents the invasion of Normandy, France. And so I was in a company of 124 enlisted men and officers. We lost our first platoon before the invasion because what happened, there were 4 platoons in headquarters. Our first platoon, 16 guys were killed, 6 survivors. What happened, did I say 18 guys were killed, 6 survivors, that's 24, because they were doing an exercise off the coast of England in Slapton Sands. You can read about this on the internet. It's called Exercise Tiger. 800 men were killed in a flash before the invasion happened. Exercise off the coast. Our first platoon of my company was selected. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here now if my platoon was selected. That's the first brush close with death that I had because I didn't get selected. Our platoon did not get selected to be in that exercise. You ought to look it up because it's very interesting. It's something that should not have been done, in my opinion. The exercise should not have been done. And now those graves have all become the Omaha Cemetery, the permanent cemetery. But we went from there to 5 campaigns throughout France, Belgium, and Germany. We handled about 75,000 bodies, American and German, because the Germans didn't handle their dead. In fact, there are German cemeteries buried right here in Holland and in France. But all of our temporary cemeteries were all disinterred. And the last one we had in Germany, when the war ended, we had Memorial Day services there in May of 45. And then all those bodies had to be disinterred, put in boxes, and brought back here to the Netherlands and to France and Belgium, and put in the ground again in mattress covers. That's the way they were buried. And it wasn't until 2 years after the war when the permanent cemeteries were built, and then they were put in lined caskets, and then the next of kin had a prerogative of even having the remains sent back to the U.S. to any cemetery they chose at no cost to them, or remained here. So what remained here is 40% of those were killed. The other 60% went home. So when you see this cemetery here at Margraten, 8,300, right? 1700 missing in action. When you see that only represents 40% of what was there. Now, it was over 20,000, I believe. just like Henri Chapelle that I know a lot about in Belgium. We had 17,300 buried there when we moved on from there to Germany. And that 17,300 is now just under 8. So you got to remember that. That represents only 40%. People don't understand that. 40% of what was killed. I was 112 pounds, 18 years old, when I landed on D-Day. And I did have what they called battle fatigue in those days. Now they call it PTSD. Because I couldn't stand looking at the faces of soldiers my age, 18, 19, and 20 years old. Lieutenant stuck a gun in my ribs and says, "You get your ass back out there, soldier." So I did. And I went the rest of the war, 11 months every day, handling bodies. It was not easy. Nobody wanted to do that work. Nobody. I didn't want to do it. In fact, I tried to get in the Air Corps. My eyes weren't good enough. I flunked the eye test. And so then when I got drafted, they lowered the eye requirements from 2020 to 2030. So I took the test again, and I passed. But my company commander got ticked off at me, and he sent me into another unit, the 607th Grade Registration, that was going overseas right away, and they were short one man. So I was a substitute. Everybody was older than I was. On a ship going overseas, they're kidding me. "Don't worry, Ciampa, they could turn the ship around, take you home," because our President Roosevelt said no 18-year-old will set foot on foreign soil in a speech. I had a 17-year-old killed in the Navy, and there were a lot of 17-year-olds killed in the Navy. Of course, you had to be 18 to go in the Army or the Marines, but the Navy, Coast Guard was 17.
When I say Holland, what do you say? What do you think? What do you feel?
Wooden shoes. That's what I used to think as a kid. All kids in school think about Dutch people with wooden shoes, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. What I think about now is the young people that have the websites where they research who those bodies are in those graves. That's what I think about now. My heart is with those people, and I want to tell them that when I see them in the next day or so, because I get a chill right now talking about it, because no other cemetery has done what Margraten has done, and I appreciate it very much as a soldier who did that kind of work in burying these soldiers. So I appreciate the people that, I understand that 300 people, Dutch people a day, visit the cemetery there. Now that's unheard of. I don't care if it was 100 a day, that's unheard of. So I talk about that a lot. And so that when I think about the Netherlands, Holland, I think about the people who have adopted all these graves over the years.
I thank you for your time and the interview. I wish you lots of luck, healthy and a good life.
Thank you. Thank you.